Let me put on my clock as well, because I do tend to say a lot more than I have time to say. So I'm here today to talk about the FEDEC network. I also direct a circus school in Madrid, and I would be happy to talk to you about the school and the project that we have as an educational project we have at another time. The FEDEC is the Fédération Européenne des Écoles de Cirque Professionnelles. So it is centered on schools whose task is forming people to enter the circus profession. Around Europe, we talk about the professional schools, leisure and children's schools. Leisure schools are schools that are available to anybody who wants to practice circus arts, but not necessarily become a professional. Children's schools are obviously just for circus as a enriching activity for children. But the FEDEC decided to focus on a very specific kind of school in order to find more easily common goals and common projects. It is a structured network. We exist as a legal entity, and we have a team of people who are responsible for organizing our activities. We exist since 1998, though there has been cooperation among our schools before that. Today there are 55 members in 26 countries. It is principally a European network, but there are members from Canada, United States, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Australia, and well, a member who's sort of on the way out from Morocco. So despite the European name, we really consider ourselves an international network, and perhaps the only international network designed to give the circus schools a common space to exchange ideas together. The office is in Brussels, which is a logical place to be for a European network. It's funny because when we talk about the project, we like to talk about our goals and our objectives. When in Brussels, when people from different projects sit down together, they talk about rules and admittable expenses and dates and things. So being in Brussels and having people who know how to operate in Brussels is definitely an enriching factor for our network. The funding is principally European. We get a general funding grant for the whole project. We get a membership dues, and we have several financial partners who participate in the financing of the general activity of the organization, the core activities. And then through different projects or through collaboration with events, we get funding to do specific projects. The partners are Franco Dragoni, a major circus producer, Cirque du Soleil, and Cirque Phoenix, the organizers of the Cirque de Daman Festival. And we sort of try and make them understand that the professional circus schools today are where research and development in the future of circus takes place. It takes place within the schools, it takes place in the creation centers beyond the schools. But really the philosophy of contemporary circus education, take us someplace we haven't been before, is the basis of their business. These major producers who want to be the new, the never seen before, depend on circus schools to get the raw material in order to be able to do that. So we like to have them implicated in our activities, which means we ask them to give us money. The general network of circus schools in Europe, we talk about type 1 and type 2 schools. The type 1 schools are schools who have recognized certification, higher education certification in their countries. That means they have a diploma, or they are university level or conservatory level schools with higher education recognition. And type 2 schools, which are generating professionals through other paths that are not higher education. Higher education recognition does not necessarily mean the best schools. There are higher education schools that are not the best schools, and there are non-recognized schools that are doing excellent and admirable work in training circus professionals. So the categories respond to an administrative situation, but definitely not necessarily the quality of their educational programs, which we don't judge anyway, but results of these students and their future sort of tells a little bit about it. So there are secondary schools, high schools, schools that work into a bachelorate level, pre-university schools. There are, as I said, preparatory and professional schools as AMIEN, as Carampa, and professional schools which might be, if you talk about the university line in education, there's also the conservatory line, musical conservatories, dance conservatories, which are not necessarily higher education. Often they issue professional certificates, but not a full bachelor's degree. And there are beginning to be postgraduate initiatives in university level schools in Europe and even in Latin America. Just quickly, a very quick overview of what a circus school is. Most schools try to find a balance between three main areas. The backbone of circus, acrobatics and physical training. The other backbone of circus, performing arts training. And then the development of circus specialty work in the different main areas. Anybody could divide those main areas up as they do. I talk about aerial skills, balancing skills, acrobatic skills, and object manipulation skills. When the FEDEC first got started, well, we already existed as a non-official network. We asked all the schools to give us their pedagogical programs. And I sat down and just made a chart with these three main areas, and this magical number came up, 30, 30, 30. If you make an average of the offers of all these different schools, about 30% of their program touches the basic acrobatics and physical preparation. Another 30% is specialty training, and another 30% is theater or other interpretive arts. And the other 10% what we consider the other skills necessary to become a good professional. So this 30, 30, 30 is the average of all these schools, but nobody actually offers a perfect 30, 30, 30. But you can tell a lot about the school by the deviation from that. So a school that considers perhaps more important creating a number, creating a specialty act, might have instead of 30, 40% of specialty work, but then they have to take that 5% away from acrobatics and general training and 5% away from theater. So as soon as they make those decisions, which are decisions which define the character of the school, the gap opens very quickly, and if you sort of look at them in that way, just by reading their program, you can tell a lot about the philosophy and the goals of the different schools. Okay. We are 55 members, as I mentioned. From year to year, I consider there is a limit on the number of professional circus schools that a country needs or that the world needs. Nobody needs 10 superior level, no country needs 10 superior level circus schools, and there's definitely, the market doesn't admit work opportunities, doesn't have work opportunities for graduates from that many schools. In Europe, Europe really is a common space, much more than a space divided into countries. And so a student today looks around Europe for his educational opportunities and definitely and automatically beyond the borders of his own country. The FEDEC as an organization, that was quick. It works obviously to improve circus education, create network between the school members, improve teaching through teacher training, promote the work of young artists, and represent circus schools and the value of circus education. Hang on, I'm going to change that. I see somebody's taking a picture of it, but this is the one I was just doing. And advocate in front of Europe the importance of circus education and the importance of the opportunity for circus schools to get together and to be able to do projects together. I think the important thing for me to point out in these 10 minutes are obviously exchanges, work groups, publications, and all those things. Are the work groups that are currently, I did that wrong, okay. The work groups that are currently functioning. Okay, well, I'll go back to that. So we have three different areas of work. Sorry, I'm not big in PowerPoints. Three big areas of work groups. One is for our teachers, and the first area is teacher training, or getting teachers together to share their knowledge and share their resources, and generating from those encounters publications which make the information that is exchanged during those meetings available to schools that were not able to be present and participate. The first generation, all these manuals are on the FEDEC website, fedec.eu, in the resource tab. Yeah, I know. In the resource tab. The first generation were really pure technical exchanges. The new generation, we have tried to focus more on aesthetic subjects, which include technical work, but also include projecting technique into presentational concepts. The theory is when you talk about, when a piano teacher is working with a student who's just playing scales, no? He might say to that student, you're hitting the keys as if your fingers were hammers. So even when a student of piano is playing scales, his teacher is already looking for an aesthetic sensibility, an aesthetic relationship between the student and his apparatus. Isn't the same thing true when a trapeze artist grabs his bar? So it's very difficult to get technical circus teachers to understand that theater interpretation creation isn't something you do in a separate schedule. It's something that you do as a part of technical training. And so these second generation of modules is designed to offer teachers tools within their techniques in order to encourage them to foment this artistic sensibility as a part of their technical training. Some of them, the Eastern Russian teachers say, I don't have time for that. If I do that, I won't have time for technical excellence. And others say, so it really isn't about tricks and catalogs of tricks. I do this trick, I do this. It's about developing a personal relationship with the apparatus. And obviously, that's our intention. The second work group is Savoir, which is really a demand from Europe for us to try and make a general definition, a general framework for defining the circus teaching profession. What are the major competencies that a circus teacher needs? Today's circus teacher come from sport. They come from professional circus. Very few, but more as the years go by, come from higher circus education. So the idea is to make a definition and to develop these intense workshops in order to bring the basic level of teacher training up and in that way improve circus education. A second group of activities are for students. One is getting students together just to meet, just to play together, to exchange technique together, but principally to share creative processes together, which we do in Osh, the Osh Festival in Circle Festival in October, where different schools do little creations and share them and talk about the process that they've been through, or in Crese projects in which we bring students together for a month-long laboratory, and they have the opportunity really to share their different artistic personalities. And the other student area is Escal, which is similar to the On the Move project, in which you do a study of the amount of student mobilities around Europe by students and teachers between our circus schools. And finally, directed more towards the institutions, we do an exchange of circus school directors and specifically pedagogical directors on a whole variety of subjects in which they are able to every school is an island. We're all alone in our countries, and most of us are in very precarious economic situations. So you really have nobody to bounce ideas off of. So Mayon is the place where circus school directors can debate ethics, they can debate student guidance, they can debate accompanying creative process, they can debate insurance. So this whole series of subjects that we are all trying to discover America on our own, and this is the forum where we were able to do it as a group. And finally, a new work group on research, in which the higher education schools are beginning to get funding to be able to do research together. And so the FEDEC is a platform to be able to coordinate those initiatives, share initiatives, just collect and inform about circus research that is taking place. There's circus research taking place in sociology and the sport psychology applied to circus. We have friends in Latin America who are doing industrial materials research, the cloth that a tissue is made out of, how to make an aerial cradle in such a way that it doesn't break the catcher's knees after 5 years. So there is industrial research, but our focus is basically on how to bring pure artistic research into the academic world, not because we consider it important that it's in the academic world, but because they have money, and at least that way some of that money will be available for young performers who want to do circus research. So that's what we do. Circle, scales, next, million. We do it as, no, we're done. So we do it as a network, and please feel free to go to the FEDEC webpage and look at the different resources, the studies we've done, the technical manuals, which are recognized as not a learning tool for a performer, but as a pedagogical tool to support the teaching profession. And ask me questions later when we have the chance to find out a little bit more about our activities. Thank you.